And I want to tell you about a writer who, where's that book? What did I do with it? Oh, I might have to do this tomorrow. Where's my book? Yeah, I'll tell you about it later. Oh, I've got it. Yeah, okay. So this is a collection of short stories that have some more traditional prose writers involved inside it. So you'll see some people that initially I'd sort of be like, well, do I really want to read that person, or so on and so forth. Okay, so but some of them are pretty good. Like I was never that interested in Virginia Woolf. Okay, and Joyce Carol Oates, I always find her stories to be a little bit. They're always kind of the same theme, and they're always super morose, and they almost always have something to do with like family predation on a child, which is like over and over again. She does that in her stories. I'm like, I don't think so. No, thank you. But Shirley Jackson's in here. Graham Greene is in this. Truman Capote, who was a very odd kind of person, but he was a great writer. Tennessee Williams is in this. So, it's a mixed bag, but it's called, what is it? The Omnibus of 20th Century Ghost Stories. It's a Carol and Graff one. And Carol and Graff put out some good collections of stories and stuff. So let's go to Wordsmith Wednesday and do a little former Star Trek writing fellow action. And I'm going to tell you about the story I'm going to read on Friday. And I think you're going to dig this. We're going to hear the control voice coming in from my old days on TV. Well, before that.
Nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
All right, good stuff. Well, welcome to former Star Trek Writing Fellow section of this show on Liberty Conspiracy. So if you're watching over at the former Star Trek Writing Fellow channel on YouTube or on Rumble, thank you for finding us. Don't forget the Garden of Goldsmith Substack. And maybe tomorrow night, I'm hoping we're going to do, that would be Thursday, we're going to do a segment all about a television show. It's the first of 2 parts. I'm really excited about the making of this TV show. I've been doing some research for you, and I'm going to get some video clips and stuff. Very cool, very popular show. And I want to tell you about an author with whom I probably would not agree on virtually anything when it comes to political stuff. I'm a very hardcore free market anarchist. I'm a Christian. I believe in family units, voluntary units, and I am completely opposed to all political institutions. I would fall back to the Constitution. I would prefer to have the Articles of Confederation, but I oppose on principled grounds any form of the state. However, as I make myself small, the Russians here in this Russian team, I do want to tell you about an author who was more on the socialist side of things. Her name, Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Not the Gill Man from Creature from the Black Lagoon either. She was born in 1860 and died in 1935. Now, as you see on Fantastic Fiction, Charlotte Perkins Gilman founded The Forerunner, a magazine in 1909, and published and edited it over the next 7 years until its demise in 1916. Within this forum, Gilman continued to explore, explain, and denounce women's and men's roles as prescribed by what she claimed was society, which is, of course, recursive. Who comprises society? Women and men. While and a lot of it is genetic, While her novel, Herland, received scant attention when published in 1915, it has been recognized since its first book publication in 1979 as a benchmark of utopian and feminist fiction. So, Herland, right there. You'll see they have the 39 steps there for some reason. That's wrong. So there's Herland over here at Fantastic Fiction 1915 and the sequel with Her in Our Land. But what I want to focus on in a little bit is The Yellow Wallpaper, which they have here as a novel. That's wrong. The Yellow Wallpaper is a short story, and it is one of the best short stories associated with Carcosa and the King in Yellow. So, if you've seen True Detective, if you've read some of my stuff, I make a couple references to Carcosa, and I make more references in the book that got accepted by a publishing company, and then I declined it because they wanted me to change my publishing name to something other than my name. So I just want to mention that one of the things that I think is interesting is when you're thinking about a story and you don't know anything about the author, it's much easier to read the story. So, for example, Ann Peters, I don't read Ann Peters stories because I know that when she was a younger person in her teens, growing up was in New Zealand or Australia, she was accused of conspiring with a friend and taking the life of either her mother or the friend's mother. She went to prison for it. She was convicted of it. When she got out of prison, she wrote murder mysteries. So I'm sort of saying, maybe she's, I don't know. It just is a little discomfort there, okay? And maybe she was wrongfully accused or there's circumstances I don't know, but I have a hard time reading her stuff. Similarly, with certain authors like Robert E. Howard, I know that Robert E. Howard took his own life, so it took me a long time to be able to read Robert E. Howard's material and get to the point where I thought, okay, I can sort of understand this guy a little better and have some sympathy for him and feel sorry for him. And his writing is just amazing. It's wonderful and so imaginative. And he had a true spirit of life in the writing. So it was great, So that's cool. So when it comes to a person like Charlotte Perkins Gilman, the creature from the left-wing lagoon, and they talk about men and women's roles prescribed by society, there's a mixture there, obviously. Obviously, there were things that were prescribed by society, but a lot of it came because of the political institutions, the political economic institutions, and women seen as having their place within the political economic institutions, which incentivized certain things and disincentivized other things. And then there were movements over the years that actually pushed to get more women into the workplace, to break up the family because they wanted to bring in cultural Marxism and Marxist stuff so that they could make the family an opposition to so-called freedom, and marriage was somehow like slavery and all this other stuff, right? It should be up to the individual. If you don't want to get married, don't get married. It doesn't really matter. So societal pressure, whatever. It's whether the state is instituting something that is incentivizing things either overtly or through very nefarious means. That's the problem. So you can have all sorts of things with that. So I want to give you some more information about Charlotte Perkins Gilman, just to let you know just how different she and I are. But on Friday, I'm going to read to you one of the best short stories around. It's just great. So let me give you some of this stuff. It's just a quick overview. I got it on my other computer. She was born in 1860, died in 1935, as you see. She advocated for women's economic independence. Okay. The professionalization of housework. So she wanted women to get paid for being wives. Whatever. It should be up to individuals if they want to do it. I don't know why they need to have her pushing it. And the dismantling of the traditional patriarchal nuclear family. Probably not a good idea. She proposed communal living, socialized childcare, voluntary communes. That's still just voluntary. It's like hiring a babysitter. That's voluntary. It's like having a large family living on the same plot of land. That's voluntary. It's different when you get the government paying for it and you institutionalize it. That's a bad idea. Socialized childcare. There you go. Government taking care of kids, just like Marx wanted. And equal roles for men and women to achieve a mother-centric, socialist-leaning society. She believed that the traditional home was a site of domestic slavery that stunted women's potential. She advocated for communal kitchens and specialized professional child rearing to liberate women, allowing them to enter the workforce and participate in society. So no wonder she was around in the early 1900s, right? And some of the movement was fine. Others, kind of dumb. Economic independence. She argued that a woman's economic dependence on men was a fundamental form of social repression, separate from, but as crucial as class, setting her apart from traditional Marxist thought. So in other words, again, she was a feminist cultural Marxist, essentially, right? The downtrodden is the woman. She doesn't make her own decisions. She's got to get married. She's just dragged into it and forced to get married. No. It's society. Society made me what I am, just like Repo Man. Probably not. But again, you're coming off the tail end of the colonial period, off of the royal peerage system as the industrial movement rises and breaks up a lot of that royal peerage system. But you get a lot of political connections through mercantilism rising then to replace the royal blood connections. Okay. Now, it's possible that a lot of these politically connected people might, through various machinations, come up with their parliamentary friends to come up with statutes that drive people in certain directions, or an educational system that drives people in certain directions. You can't discount that, obviously, right? We know how many nation states have no problem with impoverished people, that they tell them soon, well, you know, you could get good training if you just fight for us. Whatever. And for some guys, they're going into the military for patriotic reasons, and they do think it's going to be a good opportunity. And maybe they have many other opportunities. So there's a lot of various reasons here. But it is interesting. Let me give you this one. While a trailblazer for gender equality, Gilman's political thought included discriminatory ideas. No, a collectivist? Seriously? She supported eugenics. No, really? And held views that were openly racist, often expressing concern over the purity of the white race. So, I know, how shocking that someone who thinks everything's got to be done through government might want to purify things, of course, through the force of government. Eugenics, okay. And that's just that time period, right? That's when everything really started kicking up. After Darwin, eugenicist movement. Don't forget, Winston Churchill spoke at the first World Eugenicist Conference in England. Not Winston S. Churchill, the American writer, but Winston Churchill, the future Mr. Parliament man. So, what we will do, though, and I might change my mind, but I want to give you this story because it ties in with a lot of stuff that if you watch, you know, True Detective the first year, it was really good, and ties in with a lot of things that I like. But I want to read to you The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Okay? The Yellow Wallpaper is a classic scary story. Not a ghost story as they depict it here. It's not a ghost story. It's a story that the yellow is important, and it ties into The King in Yellow, the idea of disease and yellow skin, and other books that are all connected with yellow as degeneration and something dark, something evil. And so The King in Yellow is this legendary supposed play that when it's put on, by the second act, people go insane. And I'll tell you more about The King in Yellow later. But The Yellow Wallpaper is connected to that. It's a variation on that. And so people who were aware of the Carcosa King in Yellow connection, obviously from True Detective, but also H.P. Lovecraft, Robert E. Howard, Ambrose Bierce, and many, many others. So very interesting stuff, and I hope you'll enjoy. Oh, even who's it? Even the picture of Dorian Gray has a reference to a sort of King in Yellow thing. And it actually sort of preceded The King in Yellow. So we'll tell you more about that on Friday. We'll read the Yellow Wallpaper, and we'll talk a little more about Charlotte Perkins Gilman from that era. And again, it does bring to mind, and I'll ask you the question now, and then let me know on Friday. Do you have a hard time reading fiction by an author with whom you might have a ton of disagreements, or you might find something out about that person's life where you say, and this can pertain to actors as well, or musicians, do you watch them or listen to them, or do you say, no, I've got better things to do? What do you do, right? So I've made decisions here and there. I read the Charlotte Perkins Gilman story long before I knew anything about her. And so I don't know what her novels are like, but her short stories are great. So it's very interesting. I wonder if people think that way about my hardcore pro-freedom attitudes. That could be possible. I better hit the road, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to leave you with our going away video for The Outer Limits. It's going to be a short one. And thank you, everyone. Again, if you want to find our former Star Trek Writing Fellow channel, open up a tab now while we're live and head on over there to YouTube or Rumble. That's cool. You can follow me at Guard Goldsmith. If you're watching on X, thank you for doing so. Please recycle that and head on over to Rumble. Don't forget, please give it thumbs up if you like what we're doing and the spice we're bringing in. And please check out those other videos when they pop up, because those will also need some thumbs up if you like them. And suggest the videos to friends. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. And remember, over at Rumble, you can watch the former Star Trek Writing Fellow channel. We'll Talk TV coming up soon. I've been putting that together. Or you can go to the YouTube channel. Either one is great. It's my Booktube stuff. So thanks, everybody. I'll leave you with the Outer Limits outro. This is their super short outro from the Outer Limits. There's actually a longer one that has a longer theme to it. It's pretty good. But I'll leave you with this. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
I'll return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to the Outer Limits.